Hello, and welcome to the Wellness Creator Podcast, sponsored by Marvelous. I'm Jenny Barcelos, and I'm joined with my co founder, Sandy Connery. Hey,
Hi,
Sandy.
Jenny. Hi, everybody.
And in this episode, which is the kind of season conclusion of season one of this podcast, we're going to talk about different trends that are taking place right now in the wellness industry and in the kind of broader creator economy that we think you should know about and be thinking about in order to have success in your business.
We have four different trends. So, Jenny, why don't you start us off with the first one, which is YouTube?
Yeah. So, one of the things that we've picked up on that we tried to highlight in this season when we interviewed Meredith, our wonderful guest and YouTube expert, is just the role that video and, in particular, YouTube can play in the growth and expansion of your business. And one of the trends that we've seen really taking off, like really forever, but especially in recent years as other platforms have fallen by the wayside, is just that YouTube is consistently returning on investment. So the energy that you put into growing your brand and your following on YouTube is going to pay off in ways that you're not going to see with respect to platforms like Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or things like that.
Right. And I think we're also number one, I just want to make sure everyone understands that YouTube is also a search engine. So people searching for whatever you teach or coach on, they'll be able to find you if you have YouTube video. So that's one reason why a lot of creators are focusing there. But second, we're also seeing a lot of people doing this sort of joint podcast slash YouTube channel, right? Which is exactly what we're doing. So people who are podcasters, there are so many amazing tools, which we'll talk about a few in a few minutes, but there's so many amazing tools to kind of do those two things almost simultaneously, which is like amazing.
Yeah. I mean, just for people like us who started podcasting in 2016 in the dinosaur age of the internet, just the ease at which you can now run a podcast, share that podcast to places like YouTube, have decent video and audio quality for not a ton of money. Like it's just incredible. And so if you are at all feeling stagnant in your business, you feeling like you're not getting new eyes on your work, we really encourage you to think about expanding onto YouTube and starting to put even just a little bit of content there. Even if you're already on a platform like Instagram and you're making reels, which I know a lot of folks in our industry are doing, can you repurpose those reels into YouTube shorts and just start to play around with this other platform, start to be creative with how you're using captions and titles? Because as you said, Sandy, YouTube is a phenomenal search engine. For folks that don't know, they are owned and run by Google. YouTube is Google. And so it's just a great way for people to find you and to learn more about what you're doing if you are naming things strategically and using words strategically in
Like
your
titles
content.
and thumbnails and
Yeah.
so on. I think I know just from a lot of our coaching clients that a lot of them are doing podcasts to develop that body of work, that thought leadership
Yeah.
out there publicly. I think the one downside to podcasting is that it is a bit hard to be found as a podcaster. So
Yeah.
I love the idea of kind of doing YouTube slash podcasting at the same time.
Yes, podcasting is a tremendous nurturing tool. And so, for those of you who have purchased our software or any of our coaching programs or courses, chances are that you've listened to one of our podcasts in the past. And that's really because you've gotten to know us and believe in us and our brands and what we've built. And I think that podcasting is only going to continue to grow, but we're seeing it evolve more and more so into really a nurturing tool. So it's a place to send people to kind of warm them up and to really share your work more deeply, but it's not a place that you're likely to find a ton of new people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, number two, Jenny, is community.
Yes. And so this is specific to the wellness industry, but I think if you're listening, you're a creator in other spaces, I'm sure community is important to you too. But we know the wellness industry really, really well. And what we have seen take place over the past year or two is that communities, specifically online communities, have started to become embedded in and kind of like it not separable from online products and services and tools. And so there's now an expectation in the industry that if you run a yoga studio or you lead retreats or you have a boutique fitness class or a club, that there is now an expectation that there is going to be some sort of online community component to what you sell. And I think this is fantastic because as the pandemic taught us, we can't always be in person, and community is so essential to our mental and physical health. So we just encourage you, if you're not making use of Marvelous's community feature in your, memberships, in your courses, in your coaching programs, to take a second look and really think about starting to integrate community into what you're doing. And it's included with just about all of our plans. And so you can just sort of in a few minutes build out an online community component that is included with what you're already selling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really key. And I think so many people are obviously very familiar with the Facebook groups. Basically, that's what we did inside Marvelous, is recreate a Facebook group, but 1,000 times better. And there's so many different ways to use that. And I do want to make a quick point about, I know people are always like, there's no engagement. There's no engagement. How do I get people to engage in my community? And I think it's partly having gone through the pandemic and been part of 100 million Facebook groups over the years. I just think that we need to let the communities be whatever they're going to be. Like, yes, we need to get in there and answer if people are asking questions in a timely manner. Yes, we need to welcome people for sure. But I hear from our clients that they feel so much pressure to try to force conversation. And I think I'm just done with the like, what's your weekly win? And your like throwback Thursday or whatever, the little, how Facebook used to have those little cards, every group would do the exact same thing. I think we can let all of that go and just let the community use the members of the community use it as they want. And
Yeah,
take the pressure
I
off.
agree. No pressure. So the idea that people have to participate in a certain way to be active or to get value from a community is sort of an outdated concept. And so your community is really about your people, your students or clients having access to you in between classes or webinars or sessions or whatever it may be. So by giving them that space, they're able to connect with you, potentially connect with each other in opportunities and times that work for them. And so it doesn't need to look a certain way for any single community
Mm-hmm.
or any single person in that community. So just take that pressure off yourself to kind of like cultivate a certain experience. You can't really make people do anything. So,
Right.
but by offering the space, that's the gift that you're giving them.
Yeah, and they'll use it when they want, how they want, and it doesn't mean anything about you or the program. And if you think about yourself in the communities that you are currently in,
Yeah.
who wants to feel like they have to go and report on whatever the community host is asking, right? So
Yeah.
I think I just wish I could let everyone drop that expectation and pressure to get engagement. It's not the most important thing.
Yeah, and I want to give one example here, Sandy, as you're talking. I wrote a little piece last year about, or maybe it was earlier this year, who knows, about the importance of community in spaces, especially for women. And I was just talking about like moms groups on Facebook in that particular context. And I'm sure a lot of you who are listening are in either a neighborhood group or a mom's group, whether on Facebook or in Nextdoor or one of those similar apps. And I don't go in there and post all the time, but when I have a compelling reason to go in that group and post, that is the most invaluable thing in the world, right?
Right.
Like if my dog gets out of the yard or I have a question about parenting or I saw someone's bicycle get left some, like, I'm just thinking of all the examples where I would go into that group and post or help someone with something that they've posted. And it's like such a phenomenal resource. But groups like that are not driven based on like, oh, did everyone engage on Tuesday this week? Like, who cares? It's there for the people when they need it, as they need it.
Right.
And that's really the value of online community, just like offline community.
Right. Absolutely. I love it. Okay. Third trend is the dreaded AI.
Yeah. So I think the trend is not so much AI as like how to be strategic with AI. And, AI has been around now for a couple of years and been really widely adopted, maybe for close to a year with ChatGPT. And I just want to say, as a creator in the wellness industry, just to be careful with how you're using AI and be strategic with it. So, for example, as we're talking about YouTube and content and the importance of getting your ideas out there, um, you probably don't want to have AI like writing your scripts for a YouTube video or like planning out the sequences of your yoga class. Like you probably want to do that yourself, but you can lean on AI for giving you ideas, brainstorming, helping you answer questions like really easily that you didn't know. And then also, what we were talking about a lot lately, Sandy, and what we're using AI for in our businesses is really in video editing, right? And captions and extracting like emotive moments in video. And like that's a really awesome time
Amazing
saving
use.
device.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are creating video content, like, and you're not using I think you're probably wasting some time.
Yeah. There's a few tools we wanted to mention. So, um, number one would be, let's say that you are doing YouTube or you are doing a podcast and putting that on YouTube, or even if you're not putting on YouTube, but you're recording video of of you podcasting, you can upload your raw file to a tool like opus.pro, opus.pro, and it will, like, the AI little robot inside there will listen to the entire video and pull out what it thinks interesting clips are, like little 30-second 1 minute real size clips or YouTube short clips, plus have those like moving captions on it, and you can change the color, and you can brand it all that you want. But what's so interesting to me is like this particular tool, we used to use it, and it would give you like 75 different little clips from one, let's say hour video. Like it's not two or three, it was like 75, and it would title them so you could quickly go through and find the topic. You could also say, in this example, if we were to run this video through Opus, we could say community, like keyword community, like pull out words that we were talking about community, so you can hit sort of the highlights. Some of them are just garbage, which to be expected, but it's like that smart, right? And so,
Yeah.
any of the social media short video captions, all AI, and Opus Pro is just one tool. There are many others that are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that use and application of AI because that's one of those things where we used to have to hire
Yeah,
someone to
my
do that
child.
job.
Hmm.
And I mean, like if AI can take something like that, that's just this like repetitive, like arduous task that's annoying and take that off your hands in a couple of minutes,
Yeah,
then that's a good
it's
use
a
of a
really
little
good
bit of
use.
money as a creator. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, and even for like the tools are getting more sophisticated. So one that we also talk a lot about is Descript. I think it's
Yeah.
.com. I'll check
It'll be in
that.
the show notes.
Yeah, we'll definitely put the links, but I think it's Descript. It's a video editing tool where you can upload the video, and if you want to do some editing, like take out some ums or ahs or whole sections, it will transcribe the video, and you can just look at the transcription and edit out spaces, pause, ums. If I call Jenny the wrong name, I can like delete Jenny, or delete the wrong name and type in Jenny, and it will like fix it for me in the video. So you're not like, sliding along the little time thing in a video trying to find the spot. You can just look by the words and edit it. Again, a remarkable use. That technology is showing up in many places, like a lot of the podcast tools, like um, StreamYard or Riverside. A lot of that tool is built into a lot of into those two tools for podcasting. So you're seeing it become quite normalized.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. So I think the bigger message of this point around AI for wellness creators is really like to think beyond the writing tool, like the writing model tools, and to start to think about the other ways that you can incorporate some of these other more sophisticated AI tools into what you're doing, whether it's video or audio or yeah, social media posts or things like that. Things that like will really save you time and make the difference between maybe being somebody who doesn't have time in your schedule to become a YouTuber and a podcaster. Maybe these are the tools that enable you to do that in the windows of time that you have available. Okay. What is our final point, Sandy?
It is about really embracing experimenting with your business, having fun, but also being strategic.
Yes. So I think this is so important because I think for many years as online creators could sort of like follow a basic blueprint and it was pretty predictable. And post pandemic, kind of all of that is out the window. And I don't want you to feel like if you're doing something that worked in 2021 and it's not working now, that you're a failure or something is failing in your business. It just simply means you need to experiment more. And we mean that in like a scientific kind of strategic experiment way, like actually define, I'm going to test this for 3 months or 6 months, and here's what I'm going to commit to doing. And at the end of that period of time, I'm going to review what I did and see what works and what didn't. And not just like try something once and be like, that didn't work, I'm giving up. Because I think that's so often because of other stuff going on in our minds that we're just willing to like give up right away when something doesn't work the first time versus like being committed to thinking about your business as a researcher or a scientist, because it's really what it is, right? It's something that you're going to need to play with and experiment with in order to start to see what works for you. But like design your experiments, like set out a goal for yourself and then evaluate versus just like jumping from one strategy to the next or just giving up altogether.
Or making the window of time that you're testing 24 hours or 1 week. Like if
Oh,
you've got,
yeah.
you've got to give it a decent amount of time to really, really test anything in this online space. But also, like, I think you and I have just really embraced, like, if it's not fun, let's not do it, and let's stop following the rules a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm making an ad for this podcast and it's 2.5 minutes, and you're like, what the hell? Let's put a 2.5 minute ad in there. Let's just try it. I'm like, oh, we can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, hell we can. Right. So I think it is really about experimenting and trying, and like stop following those damn rules so closely. And just see what comes out of it. See what comes out of it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that no one knows your business better than you know your business.
Yeah.
So look to resources like a podcast or like coaching or blogs or whatever, wherever you get your advice and your kind of business strategy, books, whatever it is. Look to those as examples of what is possible, but then you've got to like gut check that yourself, because as you said, Sandy, it does need to be fun, because this is a long game. We've been hammering on this for 10 years. Like, this is the long game. This is the long game. And it is. And so if it's not fun enough for you to commit to doing for a long time, it's not going to work. Right? So you've got to make it something you enjoy, that's fulfilling, that's fun, that's interesting, that's creative, that's challenging. Otherwise, you're just going to burn out and drop out, and that's going to be the end of it.
Feel terrible. Feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the last episode of season 1. We'll be back in the fall with a whole bunch of new guests and new topics, new ideas for you. In the meantime, if people want to get going, what do you suggest for the next couple of months that people focus on?
Yes. So, of course, we are the co-founders and co-creators of Marvelous, our software platform. So if you are not already teaching on Marvelous, what on earth are you doing? Please come on into the platform and get yourself going. And the other thing that we wanted to make sure you knew is, if you feel like you miss getting advice and feedback from us as mentors, as coaches, as guides, then we encourage you to come on into our online business membership for wellness creators. It's called the Luminaries, and it is a monthly membership where we host multiple calls every week, coaching calls. You can get help on your launches, your strategy, your pricing, your copywriting, and your content creation, kind of all the bits and pieces that you need to build and grow your business online. And we invite you in, and it's now a monthly membership, so you can kind of get a taste and dip your feet in and see if it's a good fit for you. And we'd love to work with you. So we'll be around in the summer, even though the podcast will be on a hiatus, and then we can all rejoin up with the podcast in the fall.
Yeah, you can check that out at andshe.co/membership. Yes, and we will be working all summer without those members building their businesses. Amazing. Well, thanks, Jenny. It's been a great first season. Thank you for starting this and thinking of it and leading the charge. And we'll be back in the fall.
All right. Thanks, Sandy.